All right, let's dive into a completely different way of seeing the world around us. We're going to be talking about something called hypergenerative design. And trust me, it's a real game changer in how we think about building, well, anything.
Just think about that for a second. What if the things we built didn't constantly need our help? What if they actually got stronger, more productive, and more alive all on their own? This isn't science fiction. These questions are pointing to a real blueprint for a different kind of world. And that's the whole promise of hypergenerative design.
So, what are we actually talking about here? Look, we hear the word sustainability all the time, right? It's usually about trying to do less harm, to have less of a negative impact. Hypergenerative design blows right past that. This is about actively doing good. It's about designing living systems that don't just break even, they create massive abundance over time.
At the very core of this idea is a choice between two of the universe's most fundamental settings. On one side, you've got entropy. We all know this one. It's the universal tendency for things to fall apart, to rust, to decay into chaos. But life has this incredible countermove. It's called centropy. It's the drive toward more organization, more complexity, more beauty, more life. Hypergenerative design is about learning to flip the switch and consciously build with centropy.
Okay, but to build these incredible new systems, we have to get real about what's not working right now. And the root of the problem isn't that we aren't trying hard enough. No, it's a fundamental flaw in how we see the world. For centuries, we've been taught to see everything as a collection of separate little things, right? Like a giant bag of marbles. This is the particle primary paradigm. And when you see the world that way, you start treating everything, the soil, the water, even our communities, like separate resources you can just take. The problem is, when your model is just a bag of marbles, you eventually have to invent some kind of invisible glue to hold it all together. And that's where our solutions start creating even bigger problems. And here is the perfect cosmic scale example of that broken thinking. When your model says a galaxy is just a bunch of star marbles flying around, it doesn't make sense. They should fly apart. So you have to invent something you can't see or measure, dark matter, to act as the glue. It's a patch, a really big patch for a broken model. So what if the model itself is just wrong? And this is where it gets really exciting. This leads us to what's called the great inversion. It's a total flip in our perspective that unlocks everything. It's about finally learning to see the world the way life itself actually sees it. So here it is. This is the flip. The old way, the particle way, says first there's stuff, right? Matter. And then that stuff creates fields around it. But the new way, the field primary view, completely inverts that. It says the organizing field, the pattern, the vortex, that exists first. And matter simply shows up to trace the lines of that pattern. You've seen this. It's like sprinkling iron filings over a magnet. The filings don't create the magnetic field, they just reveal the invisible pattern that was already there. So let's go back to our galaxy for a second. With these new eyes, a galaxy is no longer a bag of marbles that needs dark matter glue. Not at all. It's a beautiful, stable vortex in the fabric of space-time. And the stars are just like those iron filings, or maybe like leaves caught in a whirlwind. They're just tracing the pattern that the field has already created. And this is the key insight for any designer. Form precedes matter. You don't build the parts. You shape the field that calls the parts into a coherent whole. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that sounds cool, but a little abstract. Well, here's how real and physical this is. If you hang two pendulum clocks from the same beam, even if you start them at different times, within minutes, they will synchronize perfectly. They will phase lock. Why? Because they're connected by a shared field, the beam, and they begin to influence each other through tiny vibrations. This isn't magic. It's a fundamental principle of coherence, and it's exactly how nature builds everything. Okay, so this field-first idea is powerful stuff. But how do we actually go from understanding it to using it? Well, there's a practical framework for that, a kind of design grammar for working with life. It's called the living lattice. And this is the playbook. Seriously, the living lattice maps out the 9 essential roles that every single healthy living system uses to create and regenerate itself. Think of it like a team roster. In the top row, expression, you need an initiator to get things started, an explorer to find new ground, and a broadcaster to share the success. But then you need the anchoring row to lock in those gains, a harvester to pull in energy, and a solid anchor to stabilize the whole system. Every role is absolutely crucial, and together they form the universal grammar of life itself. So how do you learn this new language? You don't just read a book, you build. And that's where this brilliant idea of biomemes comes in. Just think of them as Lego kits for building living systems. Each one is a tested, modular recipe that lets you construct a complete, functional ecosystem from scratch, and in doing so, it teaches you the principles of the lattice by, well, doing it. All right, enough theory. Let's make this real. We're going to look at one of these biomemes in action, a living panel that can literally pull fresh water right out of thin air.
So first step, the what. What is this thing? It's a completely self-contained living panel. Its job is to passively, with no energy input, harvest water vapor from the air, filter it, and make it available. And the coolest part? You can scale these up to create living walls, living roofs, entire infrastructures that actually breathe and generate their own water.
Okay, so how does it work? Well, it's not one thing, it's a team, a 3-species guild. And look, their roles come right off the living lattice playbook we just saw. You've got the mycelial fungus acting as the anchor, creating the physical network. You have a special kind of moss acting as the harvester with an incredible ability to suck moisture out of the air. And then you have the slime mold, which acts as the explorer, constantly probing the system and optimizing the pathways for water and nutrients.
And here's the why. This is the absolute magic of the system. Get this. The slime mold, it actually eats the fungus. Now, from our old, separate parts point of view, that's a disaster. It's a design flaw. But from the field-first view, that tension is the engine of the whole system. That predatory pressure forces the mycelial network to constantly adapt, to heal, to get smarter. It creates what's called strange coherence, and it's what makes the entire system intelligent and incredibly resilient.
And you can literally watch this process of syntropy, of life building on life, unfold over time. Over a couple of months, you see these totally separate organisms, fungus, slime mold, moss, begin to phase lock, just like those pendulums. They find a shared rhythm, and they merge into a single coherent guild. Eventually, it becomes a self-regulating ecosystem that just works. It doesn't need you anymore. It has truly come alive.
The beautiful thing about all of this is that it isn't just a theory for you to understand. It's a practice. It's an open invitation for you to stop being just an observer and to actually become a co-creator with these incredible living systems. And you don't have to be some kind of genius biologist to get started. The whole system is designed with clear entry points for everyone. Whether you're a total beginner who's never grown anything or you're already an experienced designer, there's a pathway for you to jump in and start building with life, like right now. And that Vapor Weaver panel, that's just the beginning, just the first Lego kit. There are others, like a self-watering indoor medicine chest garden for growing herbs and teas in your kitchen, or a living canvas bed that acts as the perfect foundation for any outdoor garden you can imagine. There's even a whole breakfast garden system designed to give you food all year round. Each one teaches you another dialect of this universal language of life. Ultimately, this leads to a really profound shift in your own role. You stop being a gardener in the old sense, someone who is constantly weeding and watering and imposing their will on the system. You're not the boss anymore. Instead, you become a co-creator. You're just another member of the guild, participating in the beautiful, ongoing dance of life.
So this is a whole new way of seeing, of being, and of building. It's a language that all of life already speaks. And these biomemes, they're like our Rosetta Stone. The amazing thing is, the lattice is already here. It's all around us, in every forest, in every teaspoon of living soil. It's just been waiting for us to learn how to see it and join in. So really, the only question left is, which one of these is calling to you?